The latest developments surrounding Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has sparked international attention. His U.S. lawyer, Bruce Fein, recently wrote to Justice James Omotosho demanding the dismissal of all charges against Kanu, citing lack of jurisdiction. This legal move, detailed in the letter sent on October 28, 2025, is a bold call for justice, and it's something that has left both the Nigerian and international legal communities talking. Now, as we continue, it's crucial to understand the underlying implications of this demand and how it might shape not just Kanu's case, but also the broader landscape of justice in Nigeria. Bruce Fein's argument is clear. The process that led to Kanu's extradition to Nigeria was flawed, and therefore the charges against him should be dismissed. This demand, coupled with Fein's appeal to international legal principles, is not just about Kanu. It's about ensuring that governments cannot profit from their own illegal actions. Fein quoted U.S. Supreme Court Justice Louis D. Brandeis, reinforcing the idea that no nation should benefit from unlawful acts. But while Fein's letter is filled with powerful legal arguments, the Nigerian court system hasn't yet given a public response, which makes the situation even more intriguing. The role of international law in this case is another area worth exploring. While Nigeria has its own legal system and sovereignty, international rulings and principles, especially concerning human rights, have added significant pressure. The United Nations Working Group on Arbitrary Detention and other bodies have already called for Kanu's release, but the Nigerian government hasn't complied with these calls. This tension between national law and international expectations is something that will play a pivotal role in how this case progresses. What happens when a country's legal system is under international scrutiny? Fein's intervention raises questions about judicial independence in Nigeria. The ongoing trial of Nnamdi Kanu has already faced criticism from multiple corners, and his supporters argue that the entire process is politically motivated. For some, the case symbolizes a broader struggle against oppression, while for others, Kanu represents a threat to national unity. The Nigerian courts are tasked with balancing these polarized views while ensuring that the principles of fairness and justice are upheld. So, how will Justice Omotosho respond to this powerful letter from a U.S. lawyer? Will the court acknowledge the international concerns, or will it continue the trial as planned? Let's not forget about public opinion in Nigeria. Kanu has a substantial following, especially in the southeastern part of the country. To his supporters, he's seen as a hero fighting for the Biafran cause and the rights of those they believe are marginalized. However, there's also a large group of Nigerians who see Kanu's actions as divisive, harmful to national unity, and a threat to the country's stability. This split in public opinion is reflected in the court's handling of the case, as well as in the pressure being exerted by both local and international actors. As this case unfolds, it's clear that it's about much more than just one man's legal troubles. It's a litmus test for Nigeria's legal and political landscape. The court's decisions will likely set a precedent for how international rulings are handled in Nigeria, especially when they conflict with national interests. How will Nigeria balance sovereignty with adherence to global legal standards? Will this case further erode or enhance trust in the judicial system? The eyes of the world remain fixed on Nigeria as this high-stakes legal drama continues. Human rights organizations, foreign governments, and even ordinary citizens are watching to see how the legal system will respond to international pressure. And as the case progresses, there are likely to be more twists and turns with legal battles, political maneuvering, and possibly even further diplomatic ramifications. As we continue to watch the unfolding drama of Nnamdi Kanu's legal battle, it's important to consider what's at stake, not just for Kanu, but for the larger Nigerian justice system. We are witnessing a crucial moment in the country's history where questions of legality, fairness, and human rights are being tested in real time. The response from Justice Omotosho and the Nigerian court system could set a precedent for future cases where international law and national sovereignty clash. Bruce Fein's letter to the court has certainly added fuel to an already volatile situation. His call for the dismissal of charges is grounded in the idea that Nigeria, by violating international legal norms in Kanu's extradition, has placed itself in a compromising position. Fein's use of legal precedents, such as the quote from Justice Louis de Brandeis, underscores the seriousness of this claim. The question now becomes, will Nigeria's legal system be willing to acknowledge these global concerns, or will it proceed as if the world's legal opinions don't matter? The entire situation raises a fundamental question. How much power should international law have when it conflicts with a nation's own legal processes? In Kanu's case, the pressure from the international community is undeniable. But Nigeria's legal system is firm on its stance, continuing the trial despite multiple calls for Kanu's release from bodies like the United Nations. This tension is likely to grow as the case progresses, especially considering the role of global opinion in influencing national legal decisions. What we're seeing here is not just about Kanu's fate, it's about the future of legal independence in Nigeria. If the courts ultimately reject the international calls for Kanu's release, it might be seen as a victory for Nigerian sovereignty. But it could also mean that Nigeria is distancing itself from international legal norms, something that could have far-reaching consequences for the country's future dealings with foreign governments and international organizations. Let's not overlook the political aspect of all this. Nnamdi Kanu's case is deeply political, not just in Nigeria but across the world. He's been a figurehead for the IPOB movement, which has long called for Biafran independence. Whether you agree with his cause or not, it's clear that Kanu has become a symbol of resistance for many people. His trial is part of a larger struggle for self-determination, not just for him personally, but for his supporters who see his fight as one for the rights of an entire ethnic group. But on the other side, there are many who view Kanu as a destabilizing force, someone who has caused division and unrest in Nigeria. These contrasting views have shaped the way his trial is viewed, not just in the court of law, but in the court of public opinion. The Nigerian government has a stake in presenting Kanu as a threat to national security, while Kanu's supporters argue that he's being persecuted for peacefully advocating for Biafran independence. So, as the case continues, it's clear that it's not just about one individual, it's about how Nigeria, as a nation, balances its sovereignty with the demands of international law. If Kanu's trial is allowed to continue without addressing these international concerns, it may send a message to the world that Nigeria is willing to ignore global norms. But if the courts eventually heed the calls for dismissal, it could be a sign that Nigeria is willing to engage more deeply with the global legal community. In the meantime, the case will undoubtedly continue to stir up emotions and opinions, both in Nigeria and beyond. The public's divided opinion on Kanu's actions only adds to the complexity of the situation. Will the Nigerian people support Kanu's cause, or will they stand by the government's push to see him tried for his actions? How this case plays out will influence Nigeria's relationship with its citizens and with the rest of the world. One thing is for sure, Kanu's trial isn't just about one man's struggle, it's about the future of Nigeria's legal system, its relationship with international law, and its political future. The next steps in this case will set a tone for how Nigeria approaches legal matters that involve international law and human rights. Whether Kanu's supporters win or lose, the implications will be felt long after the final gavel falls. As always, we'll keep you updated with the latest developments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay informed on what's happening next. This case is far from over, and we'll be right here bringing you all the updates as they unfold. Leave a comment below with your thoughts. Do you think Nigeria should adhere to international law in this case? Or do you believe it should uphold its sovereignty regardless of international opinion? Let's keep this conversation going.